Looking at the sheet, I found that I had graduated from Sonia's program many years ago. And my background was actually mechanical engineering, and I kind of led the life of Riley for a while. And I saw this an advertisement for this program in the paper, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And subsequent events over the last 7 or 8 years haven't proved me wrong. I actually was a validation contractor when I first entered this industry for 2-3 years. And for the first year or so, I traveled around a lot more than I would have liked. The East Coast is kind of where you're going to be in biotech. There's some other stuff out in the Midwest and in California, but a great deal of it is around here. And I spent a lot of time going back and forth to New York. I can't recommend that. Eventually, I settled on a company, and I'm not shy about it. My company's not going to mind this. I took a job in Andover at Wyeth, and I had the same desk and the same phone number and 4 different names on my check over the course of about a year as I moved in-house. And then the company I worked for, I don't know if you're all aware of this, but Wyeth Andover used to be Genetics Institute. It went from Genetics Institute to American Home Products. Then it went to something else. I don't remember. They dumped their Chef Boyardee line. And anyway, it makes it interesting when you go to buy a house and you have to say, well, yeah, I have actually had the same job. I work in the same place, but there's no continuity. But believe it or not, the mortgage companies are okay with it today. Wow, that was a pretty long sidestep. Sorry about that. I didn't actually have my resume on the market too long. This is a great industry to be in. With the exception of one downturn I saw a few years back, maybe 4 years ago, you will find work in this field. Get your resume out there. You may have to interview half a dozen times, a dozen times even, but you will find something. This industry is always growing because, people may not be able to afford the new television, but they're going to need their drugs. So they'll get them, and so you have to help them make it. I work in validation. I don't think I really want to add anything to what's already been said about it, except validation is a nice place to work because you're all over the place all the time. You're not, I don't want to say pigeonholed, but you're not looking at one thing. Like if you work just in cell culture, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of things you can learn about cell culture. But in validation, I get to learn everything, upstream, downstream, how the equipment works, why we do what we do, because I'm often working with the product development guys and the process development guys. The other thing I probably love best about my job is the fact that I work with some of the smartest people in the world, and I work in tomorrow. I'm working on cell lines which don't exist yet. They're in development. They're novel applications of drugs which nobody has ever thought of before. It is the coolest thing in the world. And I guess I'll touch on one more thing before I bore you all to death, and I apologize. And that is the interview process is actually very important. I find the people I've worked with, and again, I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've worked with a lot of people. In fact, I've worked with some of the people in this room before. Okay, and first of all, get ready for that. This is the most incestuous industry in the world. You will see the same faces over and over again as people move around because it's the easiest way to get promoted. I guess I lack ambition. I stayed with the same job. But the interview process is very important. Personally, because of the kind of industry this is, I want to see that people are intellectually curious and kind of, I don't want to say open-minded, but they're mental omnivores, and so not intellectually lazy, I guess is another way to put it. And I find a lot of the people that we have hired over the years who had that trait do very well. And again, that may just be me projecting my own prejudices.